Klaus Larres is a professor of history and international affairs at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I asked him about the importance of this visit for both China and Portugal.
It certainly is important for Portugal. Portugal is a very poor country in the south of Europe, and it has gone through a very tough time. The Great Recession really has hit Portugal badly. It's getting better now, but for a long time, Portugal was in very dire straits, and it needed Chinese investment. I think over 3% of Portugal's GDP is still dependent on Chinese investment. So clearly, China is a very important trading partner for Portugal. And I think also the Chinese like to trade with Portugal. Portugal, as far as I remember, is China's 11th trading partner worldwide. That is a significant number. And as you know, there's a lot of skepticism about Chinese investments in many European countries, but Portugal and Spain and some Eastern European countries do not share these concerns, and they welcome Chinese investments much more so than some other countries.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up 11th largest trading partner in the decade since 2008. They were really kind of a lifeline for Portugal.
Absolutely.
I mean, only they were 28th at that point in time. Because of the recession, they really kind of gave a lot of back and forth. It really developed their relationship, didn't it?
Absolutely. In 2011, Portugal had to be bailed out by the EU and the IMF jointly. And that really was very tough for Portugal. And the bailout came with conditions like privatization conditions, like austerity provisions. So Portugal looked elsewhere, as well as to the EU and the IMF, to get additional investment. And one of these partners was China.
And how do you see it perhaps fitting into the One Belt, One Road initiative?
Yeah, Portugal and Chinese President Xi Jinping have mentioned that. They say that the Portuguese port of Sines should be an important crossing point for the Land Belt and Road and the Maritime Belt and Road initiative. And that probably will be the case. They will develop that port jointly. And I think Portugal is welcoming the Belt and Road Initiative, unlike some other European countries. And I think, you know, the state of the Portuguese economy is all decisive here. Portugal simply welcomes outside investment in its country. Here, energy is important, agriculture is important, also the automobile sector is important, and all these investments Portugal badly needs. As I said, Portugal is really the poorest EU country so far.
And if it does join the initiative, it would be the first Western European country. So that's a landmark and milestone for both of these countries in that respect.
Certainly for Portugal, but also China will certainly recognize it as a success. As you know, there's concern about the Belt and Road Initiative, in particular the larger EU countries and with the EU Commission. There's lack of transparency, they say. They have concerns about the financing of the Belt and Road Initiative. And I think Portugal cannot afford to have these concerns, at least at this point in time. It really welcomes foreign investment and really wants to embark on an even better trading relationship. Both the Portuguese President and Prime Minister and the Chinese President talk about the intensification of a strategic partnership, and I think that is what it is all about. Also, as you will know, the EU is strengthening the investment screening policy in general, but it is targeted as Chinese investments into the EU. And the Portuguese have said they don't share this approach, and they believe Portugal needs investment, including from China, but of course also from other foreign countries.